Good morning, students. Hello and welcome to banking operations class. Today, I'm going to take an introduction class on banking operations. You are all quite familiar with the term bank. I'm sure that at least once or twice you have visited banks, and I'm sure that most of you must have or maybe having your own bank account, right? So you are quite familiar with the transactions which you carry on in banking. So let's begin the class with the meaning of banking, or let us try to understand what is a bank. Bank is a financial institution which collects money from the public in the form of savings and deposits and accumulate the money. The accumulated money is distributed in the way of loans and advances to the needy persons in various fields such as agriculture, industries, commerce, etc. Okay, so you can also compare a bank to a tank or a reservoir. A reservoir collects and stores water coming from various small scattered sources, right? Then the accumulated water in the tank is distributed through proper channels like canals or pipelines, maybe for agriculture or drinking purpose also. Similarly, bank, it collects money in the form of deposits. Different types of deposits are there, that is savings, fixed deposits, recurring deposits. In different forms it collects, and this money it distributes to the people in the forms of loans, long term loans, short term loans, overdrafts, cash credits. Okay, what are all these we'll be discussing in the coming classes. So in today's class you'll only have to remember is what is a bank. So bank is a financial institution which collects money from the public in the form of savings and deposits and then distributes it in the way of loans and advances to the needy people. Okay, so let us discuss what is the origin of banks. The word bank is derived from the Latin word bancus, which means bench or a desk. In olden days, there were no institutions like how we have the modern banks today, or there was no particular place where people could go deposit the money or withdraw money whenever they were in need of, or they could go and exchange the currency of one currency to other country's currency. There was no particular place in the olden days. Then what people used to do in olden days, money lenders, they used to sit in the busy market areas on a desk or a bench to exhibit the coins of different nations. Then in Greece, Italy, and England, money lending and money exchanging were the basic functions of earlier bankers. Earlier bankers transacted their business at benches in a marketplace. However, these money lenders were not in a position to convert the currency of one country into the currency of another. Or when money lender or banker failed in his business, his bench on which he used to sit and exhibit coins were broken by the people in anger. So from there, this word, that is bankrupt, came. Right, we are all familiar with this word or this term bankrupt. Bankrupt means a person who has lost his money, wealth, or financial resources. Then during the 19th century, commercial banks were established in India under the European management. In the year 1830, the Bank of Hindustan was the first joint stock bank in our country. Okay, so that was the first commercial banks in India. Next, we'll discuss after that, in the year 1895, Punjab National Bank was introduced. Then 1906, Bank of India came into existence. In the year 1908, Bank of Baroda was established. In the year 1911, Central Bank of India was established. 1913, People's Bank of India was established. In the year 1921, Imperial Bank of India, now which is known as State Bank of India, was established. And in the year 1934, the RBI, that is the Reserve Bank of India, was established. RBI is the Central Bank of India. Bank or modern banking is the backbone of the economy of our, it is the backbone of industry, commerce, economy and society. Okay, banks play a financial, banks are the financial intermediaries which play a very important role in economic development of all the nations of the world. So banking is the lifeblood of modern commerce. In India, the banking system is controlled by the RBI, that is the Reserve Bank of India. According to the Banking Regulation Act 1946, it conducts all its operations. Okay, so what are the functions of RBI? RBI is a monetary authority which regulates all the other commercial as well as industrial banks, private or nationalized banks in the country are regulated by the RBI. Okay, that is the first thing, that is it is the monetary authority. Similarly, secondly, it regulates and supervises the financial systems of the country. Then it also is involved in managing of foreign exchange currency in the country. It is the issuer of currency, means it is RBI who issues the currency of our country. It is the banker's bank. Banker's bank means even at times the banks, commercial banks may also need loans, right? In such situation, the banks can take loan from the RBI. It is called as the lender of last resort. That means when the banks are not able to uh, get loan from any other source, they can approach the Reserve Bank of India for loan. So therefore, it is considered as banker's bank. Then detection of fake currency. RBI is also active in detecting fake currency, that is the duplicate currency which is in circulation in the country. Another important function of RBI is credit control. Through credit control, the bank tries to regulate the financial system of a country. There are two methods of credit control adopted by the RBI. One is the quantitative methods. The second one is the qualitative method. The quantitative methods are those which aim at controlling the total volume of credit, that is the money circulation in the country. They are used to regulate the quantity of credit created by the banks. By using these methods, the central bank controls the amount of credit. Okay, so let us try to discuss what are the quantitative methods adopted by the RBI in credit controlling. The first one is bank rate. The bank rate is also known as the discount rate. It is the rate payable by the commercial banks on the loans from or rediscounts of the central bank. In simple terms, whenever a commercial bank takes loan from the RBI, it has to pay interest on that loan to the RBI. That rate is called as what? The bank rate. An increase in the bank rate will result in the increase in the cost of credit, whereas the decrease in the bank rate will result in the decrease of the bank rates to come down. Okay, so I hope you are clear with the bank rate. The second method of credit control adopted by RBI is open market operations. Open market operation refers to deliberately sale and purchase of security by the central bank from the commercial banks. A sale of security by the RBI will result in fall in the total cash reserves from the banks, whereas a purchase from the RBI will result in increase in the cash reserves with the commercial bank. So therefore, the RBI is able to control the cash inflow and outflow in the country. Then the next way of managing or controlling the credit of a country is cash reserve ratio. Every commercial bank has to compulsorily keep a little amount, maybe 15 to 20% of amount as deposit with the RBI. Okay, so it is compulsory for all the banks. The RBI at times may increase or decrease the ratio. At present, it is around 15 to 20%. The bank has to keep whatever deposits they have, out of which they have to keep 20% of that with the Reserve Bank of India. In case in future, if the bank becomes bankrupt, the same deposits can be utilized to pay the money to the deposit holders, or it can be utilized to pay back the loans which it has taken from others. So as a safety measure, a little amount of deposit has to be kept by the banks with the Reserve Bank of India. That is called as cash reserve ratio. Then the next one is the statutory liquidity ratio. Statutory liquidity ratio refers to the proportion of aggregate deposits which the commercial banks are required to keep with themselves in liquid form or in the form of gold on daily basis. SLR or statutory liquidity ratio means the first one. Cash reserve ratio means banks, out of the total deposits, they have to keep 15 to 20% in with the Reserve Bank of India. Whereas statutory liquidity ratio refers to keeping a little amount as deposit with the bank itself on everyday basis. Maybe 3 to 4% of the total deposits on the daily basis have to be kept as safe deposits with the bank. That ratio is called as the statutory liquidity ratio. When the statutory liquidity ratio, if the RBI increases the statutory liquidity ratio, then the commercial banks will have less amount with them to give it in the form of loans and advances to its people. Similarly, when the RBI decreases the statutory liquidity ratio, more amount will be available with the banker to give it in the form of loans and advances to its customers. Okay, so the next methods of credit control refers to the qualitative method or selective methods of credit control. Under them, first one is margin requirements. Changes in the margin requirements are designed to influence the flow of credit against specific commodities. The commercial banks generally advance loans to their customers against some security or securities offered by the borrower and acceptable to banks. A rise in the margin results in contraction in borrowing value of security, and similarly fall in the margin requirement result in expansion in borrowing value of the security. The second one is credit rationing. Rationing of credit is a method by which the central bank seeks to limit the maximum amount of loans and advances, and also in certain cases fix ceiling for specific categories of loans and advances. Next method of credit control, qualitative method of credit control, is regulation of consumer credit. Regulation of consumer credit is designed to check the flow of credit for consumer durable goods. This can be done by regulating the total volume of credit that may be extended for purchasing specific durable goods and regulating the number of installments. Okay, so these are certain ways how, or methods how a bank, RBI, how RBI tries to control credit in the country. Okay, so in this subject, that is the banking operation, you would be learning in the first module about what is a bank, who is a banker, what is the relationship between the banker and his customer. In the second module, you will be discussing about how to open an account in a bank, how many types of accounts are there, and who are the different types, or who can be the customer of a bank. In the third module, you will be discussing about checks and endorsement of checks. The fourth module, you'll learn about paying and collecting banker. Who is the paying banker? Who is a collecting banker? What are the protections available to them, and what are their obligations? Okay, that you will be studying in the fourth module. In the fifth module, loans and advances, that is the different ways of granting loans by the banks. The last module is marketing of banking services. Now, banks are nationalized as well as privatized banks. There is huge competition going on, right? So if the bank has to survive, that means if it wants to collect if it wants to attract many people to open bank account in its bank, it has to advertise itself, or it has to promote itself, or it has to provide new services so that it can attract more and more customers. So in the last module, you will be discussing, or you will be learning, how do banks market their services to the customers, and you will also discuss the changes that have been taken place in the banking scenario from the olden days till now. What new things have been introduced in the banking sector? So in all, you will be discussing about 6 modules altogether. So I have briefed you here as to what you will be studying in the subject. So I will be ending my class today with this, and we will meet in the next class with the next module. Thank you.